Mr. Vice President, dear Walter Schlegbusch, dear audience, was that fair? I mean, my first appearance in public in my new position, making me so nervous. Mr. Schäfer, that should ask for a kind of revenge afterwards. Before I come to that topic with a really short introductory speech, I want to come back to something what Mr. Schlegbusch had in his keynote, the role of education, especially for that topic. And I think you perfectly pointed that out, how important education and that coherence is. And I think we all should remember that educational efforts of today form the basics of economic values of tomorrow. And I think that's something which very, very often gets lost in our discussions, especially here in Germany, where we have a specific situation where we very often, no, too often, discuss about, is it a federal effort, education, or is it a state effort, or what is it now? And especially when we come to that topic, preparing our youth for a digital generation, I think here in Germany we have some holes to fill. Let it be very careful. But we are talking about cyber risks. A lot of that has been said already. And I think the subject is as important as it could be in front of a Munich Security Conference. Because when we talk about security, I personally do not want really to divide between security in an analog environment and security issues in a digital environment. I think both came together, and too many of us, still probably not too many of us in that room, but too many of us in the civil society still have a kind of a picturesque picture of a digital aggressor, the so-called hacker. A young guy, sorry ladies, mainly guys, in that picture, between 16 and 22 years old, drinking Coke, or the more modern ones drinking Red Bull to stay awake, smoking Gauloise, and they are attacking our systems. Yes, maybe. I would not exclude that part of aggressor. But I'd say the chances that they succeed probably relatively seldom. The problem is the real aggressors, whoever they are, private organizations or organizational formats close to governments, they have quite a lot of these people. Not just one sitting in his cellar room. They have quite a lot of these bright people, keen people who know how to deal with that subject. And we all have to learn that investing in a set of preventive controls may by no means be sufficient to prevent any aggressor coming into our systems. It needs a combination of preventive controls, of course, together with detective controls. And of course, it also needs mechanisms and being prepared, having strategies to what are we doing and how are we reacting when it happened. And your Estonia example is a very good example for that. Even if you were able to defend the majority of the aggressive issues at the border, in some cases it may be sufficient if just one or few threats manage it to enter your systems. And just imagine that not only in a world which is our day-to-day world like now. If somebody wants to hack my Surface device here, that'll be a bit of a problem. It will stop my talking, but not more. But what about a world of Internet of Things? What about a world of digital health? What about in a world of fully automated traffic? What about if somebody enters our water supply systems, our critical infrastructures? And I think what we have to develop is a kind of a common understanding about the threats that are out in the world, and also a common understanding, as you, Mr. Vice President, said, in most of the cases we will just succeed in defending these threats when we closely work together, whether this is in a kind of an organization or whether this is in cooperation of the individual computer emergency response teams wherever they might be located. And there is an issue I want to close with, because it comes back to what I said at the beginning in terms of education. We have to educate computer and IT security. We didn't do that too much. We didn't do that extensively in our universities in the last years. Not in informatics, and especially not in all the other disciplines. And if we do that in a really good way, we can probably manage something which goes very easy over the tongue, but it's very hard to achieve. The buzzword is security by design. Having some experience in software development for almost 30 years, I know that for quite a long time, let's be open to that, we didn't care about. And it's not so easy to switch over to get really a software base, a software architecture where security by design is implemented in the software structure itself. Nevertheless, we all know that would be a very important issue. And I, for my part, thank you for your attention, and I'm glad to be part of the panel discussion afterwards. Thanks very much.